Lucifer's going to be facing a lot of crises this season, isn't he? Hey everyone, welcome to Prince of the Gay. I'm your host, Connie, and today we are here with season 2, episode 3 at this point? 3? Yeah, of Lucifer. Yeah, so his mom's here. He kind of comes to realize that she's, was trying to save him and everything, and there's still something clearly more going on. But I guess she's just going to continue to be a character. We had Amenadiel and the therapist whose name I can never remember making up, but I want to see Amenadiel like really interact with his mom. I want to see that as well. And we just have continued stuff otherwise. I mean, like just our regular cases and everything, and it seems like not much else otherwise. I don't know. It seemed like the main story this season was going to be the stuff with the mother, but now it's like maybe not, unless there's other issues that come up. But like, what's happening here? I don't know where this is going right now, and I'm curious to a point, but there's also a point to where I almost feel disappointed that that there wasn't this season long story arc with that. At least seemingly right now. Like there is definitely still stuff they could do in regards to this. Like, what if God finds out that she's broken out of hell? And we still don't know why she was in hell in the first place. We don't know why she was cast down. We just know that she didn't do anything when Lucifer was cast down because she was the one who orchestrated it and was saving him in the first place. We don't know why she was cast down. So there's still questions. But I just felt from the first episode that the story arc was going to be not only finding the mother, but like finding out what happened with her and why she did what she did and everything. And it's like, nope, episode 2. So it's like there's just... it's going a lot quicker than I expected. For a season that's longer than the first one, it's going a lot quicker than I expected. But I guess we'll see what happens. And just like with last week, just the time I'm ending up recording this really sucks for that and everything. So I apologize for the light issue. And I have the curtains closed too. But the curtains we have like these little divot holes on top, like the loops that connect to the curtain rod are longer than they probably need to be. And because of that, there's these little open gaps at the top that let in like little bits of the light when it's especially shining through on that side when it's like getting ready to set and everything. And yeah, it causes this light pollution. I apologize. It's around this time of year and everything. It's not really something I can help, unfortunately, because this is where I record. This is where my setup and everything is. It's like I don't really have much option here. I could record in my room, but it has an insane echo in there that I really hate. And then there's just other issues with recording in there as well, and it's just this is the best place for me to record. The light pollution sucks ass, but it's something we've got to kind of deal with, unfortunately. That's why I try to record everything earlier, but I just couldn't today. So apologies for that. Hopefully it'll like pass by the time the reaction is done. We'll see. For the time being, let's get into this and see what this episode has in store for us. Cutting in here real quick to remind you of all the awesome content we have on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions with 2 on Wednesday. We also have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. I do pre-record them during the week, but upload them on the weekend. And don't forget all of the awesome gaming content we have on the Princess of Gaming channel. We have Baldur's Gate 3 every single day. Horizon Forbidden West every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. We have Beyond Two Souls on Wednesdays and Sundays, and on Saturdays we have Poppy Playtime. And don't forget to follow the link in the description below to today's reaction. I redirect all reactions just due to copyright, you know how it is. And on top of that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video for more awesome content such as this. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's get started on today's reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, Mama's got some power still. We don't know exactly how much, but she has power. Maybe it's like a lesser degree of what Lucifer typically has. I don't know if it's quite as like brought down as Amenadiel's though. But she definitely still has some power, which is very interesting. I don't know if it's like gonna get stronger though, because it's like, is it a case of, oh, her power's coming back? And if so, what does that mean? Or is it a case of like she just still had power and didn't realize it? It's kind of unclear, but we'll probably get more on that in later episodes. Now, we also have the fact that she has finally met with Amenadiel, and despite his insistence on sending her back to hell, and this is definitely partially because of his own waning powers, he has decided to go back on that and is instead just happy to see her again, it seems. He's actually even admitting that their father, God, may be a little prone to overreaction and everything, which is a really fun way to look at things. But in the end, Lucifer decides on her punishment and decides to punish her by forcing her to remain human and retain basically Charlotte's life. Take on the life of this woman that she's inhabiting, the dead body of, basically, and she has to just live with that. If she wants to see her son still, that's what it's going to be. And she reluctantly accepts it. She does accept it because she does want to see her sons. She obviously cares greatly for them. But she's very much not a fan of this, which, I mean, is probably good. Like, if you're going to punish someone, it should probably be something that they're not a fan of, right? And also, it's a very held back on punishment, I guess you could say. Like, she's not being sent to hell. She's not being tortured or anything. Maze won't be happy about that. She's being punished by basically being told to live, but specifically as a human. It's a very, how do I put it? What's the word? I'm trying to think of the word. There's a certain word. I hate when this happens. It's a held back on punishment. It's a reserved punishment. It's not as harsh. It's not as mean. It's not as aggressive as it could be. But it's still a punishment. But it shows that Lucifer doesn't want to like hurt her. That he is having these conflicting feelings. He wants to punish her, but he doesn't want to hurt her. He doesn't want to like torture her. He's definitely like seeing that there's something more to this, and that she's telling the truth about not wanting to or not having wanted to do what she did back then, but doing it to save him. So he's definitely going through some conflicting feelings here, and I think Lucifer is at his best when he is going through these conflicting feelings, when he is troubled and unsure, because it allows Tom Ellis to really flex his acting muscles. When he's being all suave and cool and confident, it's only one side to the character, and it's a good side, and he does it well. but allowing him to showcase another side to the character, allowing him to showcase, fear, concern, uncertainty, worry. It's like that allows him to really showcase that he's more than just this suave, confident, sexy man. That he can act, like, really well. And that's one of the biggest appeals of this series for me. Tom Ellis, not just his sex appeal, not just his suaveness, not just his coolness, his actual acting ability. The way he can actually, like, showcase real emotion and make it feel, like, harshly real. Like, when he's punishing her, you can see, he looks like he's about to cry. Did you notice that? He looked manic, but he also looked like he was about to cry. Like, he was upset at himself. He was upset at her. He was just upset at everything. Upset at God. He was just so actively upset at everything. And you could see that in his face. You could see that in his emotion. Tom Ellis put on this crazed, manic expression, but had it soft enough, if that makes any sense, that it felt pained. It felt like he was a person who was dealing with a lot of pain and uncertainty. And to be able to express that in a single expression is phenomenal. Like, that is really good expressive acting. And I've mentioned before, I love expressive acting. And expressions in anything, really, even in animation. Expressions are so important to getting emotions across. They are so necessary to get emotions across. An actor needs to be able to express a myriad of mixed emotions in a single expression. The best actors are very expressive ones. And I don't mean like Jim Carrey expressive. I don't mean like, oh, he can do weird, silly things with his face. No, I mean the best actors can showcase any and every emotion when needed in such complex ways that it makes you feel those emotions. That it makes you as a viewer not only understand what they're feeling, but actually start to feel it too. That is good acting. And you can be a good actor without being like a master at that. There are plenty of good actors who aren't super expressive. But the best actors are usually the ones who can do that to such a high degree. And I think that without question, Tom Ellis is proving to be one of them. Now, this episode also touched on other relationships. We got to see a little bit of Maze and Amenadiel and how they're kind of dealing with things, and Maze is not dealing with things well. Like, her coming in like, oh, you're having rebound sex and everything? You don't need to hide it. I'm not. And it's like, oh, you are absolutely fronting here. It's like, it is so fucking obvious that she is not over this. But she'll never admit that. Well, I don't know, maybe she will eventually, but she wouldn't admit that right now. She's too proud for that. She doesn't want to admit her mistakes, her issues. She's not that kind of person right now. She might become that, and I hope she does, but, you know. We also get to see her with the therapist, whose name I can never remember. That's just going to become a running joke at this point. But, yeah, I like their relationship too. Like, they're friends, but, you know, she's also helping Maze, like, kind of get over certain things and handle certain things a little better than she otherwise would. We get to see some fun interactions with just other characters throughout here. But then there's also Chloe and Dan, which is a very big one in this episode. because they're kind of trying to figure out what to do after everything, how they should handle things going forward, especially for Trixie. And Chloe kind of really doesn't know what to do here. She's even flip flopping on her answers on what to do. It's like, okay, first she doesn't want to do it. She doesn't want to like lie to Chloe or to Trixie about it. Then like by the end, she's like, oh, like let's do it after all. Let's not put Chloe through this kind of possible pain or anything either. And the problem is she was right the first time, and Dan realized that, and he even says this at the end. It's like, no, you were right. We can't keep doing this. This is not good for us. It's not good for Trixie. We can't pretend that everything's all right when it's not. If this relationship is not working for them, it's not going to help Trixie if they pretend like it is. Kids are smarter than you realize, and they can very much like recognize things are wrong. Trixie would absolutely start to see the cracks in what's going on, and it would probably start to negatively affect her. It would probably start to like she'd probably get very antsy, very nervous, very she'd start to see like there's something wrong with them, and she might start to feel like it's her fault, and that wouldn't help anyone either. So it's like it's probably best to just be honest. And so he tells her at the end, we need to divorce. We need to make this official. Because we're not helping her out with this. We're not like, it's not going to help her if we're pretending that everything's fine. We're only hurting her. And he's right. He's absolutely right in that. Just like Chloe was right originally regarding it before she changed her mind. When you have a kid and like your relationship is not working out, a lot of people think like, oh, you should keep it together for your kid. You should make it work because you don't want to put your kid through, like, having their parents get divorced. That's not fair to them. I'm sorry, it's not fair to them to pretend. It's not fair to them to act like everything's okay when it's not. You're putting them into possible worse situations and mindsets by doing that. Yeah, it's going to suck for them to have their parents get divorced. That's going to suck ass. That's going to be like absolutely terrible, and that's not going to be a pleasant experience for anyone. But it's better to tell them the truth and like talk through it with them and help them understand that they're not working. And that right now, like the best option for everyone is for them to go their own ways. And obviously they're going to like remain like cordial enough together. They're not going to like hate each other because they don't hate each other. It's very clear they don't hate each other. Their relationship just isn't working. Not everyone who divorces because they're like at extreme odds. Sometimes people divorce just because they find out that they married out of like an intense love for each other at the time, but after time that love faded. They don't hate each other, they just aren't right for each other anymore. And it would be better for them to find someone else eventually, to go their own ways. And when they have a kid, it's better for the kid. Putting their kid through like their pretending and everything, the kid's going to get a bad sense for like what romance should be as well, what marriage should be. So it's like they're still going to probably remain cordial with each other, maybe even like consider each other friends. They're going to work together still and all of that, but they're just not going to be married. And Trixie's absolutely going to be able to spend time with both of them just as much. Like, she's going to be able to see them absolutely. Like, Dan's not going to be, like, relegated to only weekends, I presume. they're probably going to have joint custody. Because again, it's not like they're at odds or anything. It's probably going to be joint custody. It's probably going to be like, oh, maybe week on, week off situation or something. Something will be figured out. And I think that's honestly the best situation. That's the best circumstances you can really ask for given a divorce. When they're not at odds, when things are still cordial between them and everything can work out for the child. That's the best you can hope for. So like they end this episode with like trying to make us like kind of see that as like this big dramatic even sad moment, and it's like it's really not. It's actually kind of nice. It's a really nice, pleasant end to this relationship. It maybe sucks a little bit. It's maybe a little sad, but it's the nicest way this could have ended. And I think that that's actually like really good to see, because in real life it's not always this pleasant. A lot of people who get divorced are at odds with each other, and it causes a lot of trouble for the child. When there is a child, of course. But yeah, I'm glad that it's ending on such a good note. Now, as for the case of the week and everything, this was one of the more interesting ones. The idea of like this serial killer who's punishing people who did terrible things to others is a genuinely fascinating, genuinely interesting concept. And it's not the first time we've seen concepts like this in media. It's been done before, but I still like the way it was executed here. You have the typical like case of the week stuff going on with trying to figure out who it is, and of course we as fans know it's always someone we've seen. That's how all of these shows go, not just this series, but like with like Monk or Psych or whatnot. Any of these kind of detective shows, it's always someone you see, someone you've seen earlier in the episode. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's not as much. This time, I would say it wasn't super obvious. Finding out who the killer was, finding out who this person was committing all these like acts of vengeance and all, I didn't put that together. I was thinking it was going to be the other guy, the guy who said he'd only been there 2 months. But no, having it be the HR guy, it's like there's a certain irony with that, but also it's like I just didn't think about that, you know? And like for a bit there, I was actually I was actually thinking it was the head of the company too. It just made sense to me when they figured that out. But then that ended up being fake and everything. That ended up being like, you know, she was basically being framed in a way. So that's really interesting too. And then you have the one guy at the beginning, the first guy who they questioned, the one who was the victim of the flaming pants prank. Like he admitted to it, interestingly enough. But it's never explained if he was told to admit to it, if he was like being held like under threat or something by the HR guy, or if he just, you know, admitted to it because it just seemed like it would be obvious it would be him, and maybe he did know who did it and didn't want to get them in trouble. I don't know. That part was never fully explained. But nonetheless, it was interesting. It was interesting how this was done. And I think these kind of episodes again, these kind of shows where it's like there's almost like a theme to it, I think that makes it more interesting, more unique, more enjoyable to watch. Because there's some kind of theme, There's some kind of like connection to everything that makes it come across as more fascinating than if it's just a bunch of random kills. Because you're trying to figure out, like, okay, here, this is the theme. What does all of this mean? How do we connect all of this? It's like you're playing kind of like a puzzle, a game along with it to try and figure it all out yourself. And I like that. It's a fun way to handle this. That also seems a little bit fucked up if you think about it too hard. Just because of like, oh, we're talking about like horrific murders and stuff here. And we're talking about making a game of it. That's a little messed up. But in all seriousness, yeah, I think that this was a fun episode, really interesting. My only thing is, there's like what, 5, 6 seasons of this or so. It's like, and this kind of goes like as an issue I have with a lot of these kinds of shows, Monk and Psych included. After a certain point, how do you keep doing this? And keep it from like feeling old and repetitive. With a show especially like this, a detective based show, which this is, like as much as this is about supernatural, religious themes and stuff, it's still a detective show. With this being that kind of show, like Monk and Psych and whatever else, Burn Notice, I guess, as an example, how do you keep it going for this long without it getting stale? And Monk and Psych would like bring back villains and stuff, would do different things with that, introduce new characters that would be tied into things like main characters and stuff. And I'm thinking that this show might do that. I wonder if we'll get any return characters. We've kind of seen some characters recurring throughout season 1, such as that street preacher guy. But I'm wondering if we'll like see any like major recurring characters and like some new ones joining the main cast and stuff. But even with all like the interpersonal drama and stuff going on, it's like with the actual cases, I'm just wondering how that's going to be spiced up. Unless eventually the series kind of veers away from that a little bit and starts focusing more on like the main religious supernatural story beats and stops like focusing on like the case of the week stuff. I don't know. And obviously don't tell me. I don't want spoilers, but I'm just curious how this is going to run this long. Because, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of different crimes that people can commit, but after a while, it's like they might start feeling very repetitive and samey, and it can drag down the series if it's not handled well enough. We'll see. We'll see. Now, next week, there will not be a Lucifer reaction next week because next Thursday is the first day of Youmacon. I mentioned this before, but on Halloween Day, which is the 31st, next Thursday, the last thing I'm going to be putting up, the last thing I'm going to be recording, or the last thing I'm going to be uploading, rather, is going to be the Halloween special. Once that hits, nothing else will be uploaded for the rest of the weekend. And we'll come back at the start of November to continue things. It's just because I'm going to be gone all weekend, I'm not going to be able to record or upload even. The gaming channel will have some stuff preset to upload, so that'll be fine, but I can't really do that as easily with reactions for a number of reasons. But yeah, so there won't be Lucifer next week. I just will not have time to record it on top of other stuff I have to focus on. It's not going to be able to happen. And I've already talked about how there's like other stuff coming on Thursday that I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get to. Stuff like pre-recording Don like I usually do on Thursdays. I'm questioning if I'm going to be able to get to that. Probably not. And then there's also, oh, the new episode of Hell of a Boss is confirmed to be coming out on Halloween. That's probably going to come out at a time that's too late for me to even record because I'm probably already going to be gone. So there's that aspect as well. There's probably not going to be much of anything, if anything, even at all, recorded on that day. So there's probably going to be almost nothing put up. There might be one other video that I'm thinking of maybe putting up on next Thursday, but I'm very unconfident that I'm going to be able to. So I'm not even going to say what it is. The only thing that we can confirm will be up next Thursday is the Halloween special, the final Halloween special. And that means also, by the way, next Friday, next Saturday, next Sunday, nothing on this channel. On the gaming channel, again, stuff will be pre-uploaded. It'll just, go public at specific times on each day. But I can't really do that as easily with reactions just due to various purposes. There's just a lot of reasons that would be an issue. The biggest one is that I have to do the editing for the redirects, and it takes quite a bit of time just to do one of those. I'm not going to have extra time to do everything between Monday and Wednesday and pre-record Lucifer or anything else and edit that. It's just I don't have time for all of that. The Let's Play stuff for the gaming channel is already pre-edited. Like I could put it up right now. I don't have to edit anything else. It's already pre-edited. So it's just a matter of like setting it to go up. And that I can do easily. That doesn't take much time. And on top of it, it doesn't take much effort. So yeah. Very different circumstances. But I apologize. Lucifer will be back in 2 weeks. We will go back to normal after Youmacon, after Halloween weekend and everything, with the start of November and everything. So, yeah. Apologies for having to be a week off, but it happens every now and again, especially during this time of year when we get to the holidays and everything. It's going to be a thing. But again, we will get back to it. No worries there. So, yeah. Tell me in the comments below what you thought of this episode of Lucifer Season 2. And for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.